no matter what, money will never make you happy if you're not already happy before you have it. One night, I had an out of body experience sort of thing, and I met the Lord, and it was like this wall of like all these different colors like that don't even exist. And he was just like, "You've been asking where I am. Here I am." And I was just like, "Oh, like you're I am." I was like, "Okay."
Okay, Mark, so how did you get into rapping? Like, what is your background story on how you got into it?
Well, I always had a passion for music since like as far as I can remember, but really like actually starting to do it, it really started with like just like writing poems and stuff like that. And then I used to get bullied in middle school, and I couldn't fight because we had a zero tolerance policy at my school. So I was just like, I gotta find a way to get these kids to leave me alone. And so I started to rap to do it because no one else at my school could do that. So I started doing that, and people started respecting me a little bit more. And then I just kind of, like, I think 15, I recorded my first song, and then I just kept going from there. And then really started taking it seriously in like 2021. And the rest is really history, like TikTok videos and stuff like that really got me where I'm at right now. So yeah, that's pretty much the origin. Like, so if you guys out there are getting bullied, just figure out a way to do it without using your hands. I started on YouTube really just like looking at beats on there, and I like connected with a few producers from there, and then just kept finding more people that made similar sounds and just kept it going from there. And but with TikTok and stuff like that, like I didn't want to do it, but I kind of convinced myself to do it because I saw it work for other people. And so I was just like, you know what? My stuff's unique. You know, it's cool. It's a cool sound. It'll do something on here. So I just started uploading on there, which really, it didn't take off that much at first, but then people started going to my SoundCloud and stuff like that and putting it on TikTok, and that's what started like blowing stuff up. I think the most major moment was at this song called "The Biggest Bird," and that just went absolutely insane. There's this kid named Reno who lives in Rhode Island, and he's like 16, I think, and he just found the song and put it on TikTok, and then I think it hit like 40K first day, and then it just kept going after that. Like every single day it was more and more and more, and now, well, the song itself is at, I think, like, I want to say all platforms in total, probably like 60 million streams, something like that. And so that, now so I did music videos to that and everything, and that went pretty crazy. I think the music videos are like 3 million, something like that. So yeah, TikTok, Instagram Reels, stuff like that, word of mouth, like that's really just how it started.
You do this full time now as a rapper. Is it sustainable in terms of income? Like financially, is being a rapper sustainable for maybe like 5 years, or do you find yourself have to like do other jobs during off seasons?
Well, right now it's weird because like I feel like there's certain things I could be doing that would like bring in more money. Like there's certain songs I know that if I dropped them right now, they would go crazy. And that would be like more stream income and stuff like that. It really just depends because for me it is, but I also like I you know what I mean, like I live with my mom, so it's just like I help her, and that's like I don't fully pay like all of my rent and stuff like that, you know. So it's just like if I was sitting here trying to like buy a house or something like that, I probably couldn't do that right now just off of music. But just day to day, like, do I have enough food? Yes. Do I have enough water? Yes. Can I go where I want to? Yeah. Can I go out on a Saturday night if I want to? I can do stuff like that. And I know I'm never sitting there like, man, I'm too broke to do this right now. It's more so just like you gotta know like what your means are. Like if you live like within your means as an artist, then it can be sustainable. It is for me just because I don't really do that much. Like I'm not like always going to the mall and buying clothes and stuff like that. Like most of the time if I do spend money, it's on like needs. or just like travel.
Can you talk about in terms of like money like, per gig? How much do you think realistically you would make?
Well, I'd say, like right now, because I don't really do shows that often. Like I don't really do like live performances or anything like that much. I've done a couple, but those were more so as like a favor for a friend, and so I didn't like charge on those ones. But like, if someone wanted to book me right now, it would probably be at least 12 to 2,500, and so it'd be like that. So if I did like, if somebody wanted to book me for a show right now, I'd probably charge them 2,500, like about 2,000, 2,500, because I would need them to cover my travel, my hotel, my food, and then the cover fee, and then a deposit as well. So that's probably what I'd ask for. Which the thing about promoters is that a lot of times they don't want to pay. So it's just like I don't try to go out of my way. So it's just like I make most of my money off of doing songs with people. So I'll do like an open, which is like an open verse or whatnot. I'll record on a beat and then I'll send it to the person, or they could get me on their song as a feature, which is more. So for that, it really depends because I work with budgets a lot because I understand like a lot of my fan base is younger and they might not have $1,000 on hand to pay me to hop on their song. And I wouldn't feel right on the inside being like, oh, you have to pay this or I'm not going to work with you. Because I understand, like I've been there before. I understand how it is. And so if somebody tells me all I've got is like 300, we can work with that. Like I'm not too prideful to take that. Like I don't view that as disrespectful. So, and then like people like have me repost their music or like post their stuff on like my Instagram story, for example, stuff like that, which it might be like a couple $100 here and there. It really just depends because this stuff goes up and down so much. Like some weeks I'll make like $2,000-3,000 almost, and then some weeks I might not really make anything. So it really just depends. Yeah, that's usually what I'm looking at is about, like I'd say in an average week, like I'd probably take home probably about like low end probably like 500, high end probably like 2,000.
Tell me a little bit about some of the most fun, distinct memories you have being a rapper and like how maybe you've changed lives, maybe fans coming up to you and say, hey, yeah, like what are some memories that you remember?
Oh, I got a few. I was at Cherry Creek Mall and I had some kids. They had to have been like 8. They came up to me and they were asking me who I was because they knew my song. They knew one of my songs and I was just like, these little first graders know who I am. That is crazy. And like, I don't know, every time I walked into a store, they knew who I was, like, that day. Like, I had people asking for pictures, all sorts of stuff. So that was a really cool experience. And then just, like, but it was, like, more so when I went to Texas. Like, every time I've been to Texas, like, they show me a lot of love there. They'll stop me if I'm out and about. They're like, hey, man, ain't you SAINTMERCATÖR, ain't you? I'm like, yeah, I am. And I've had, like, a few fans, like, you know, get really personal and, you know, tell me about, like, their personal struggles. They'll be like, oh, man, when you were talking about what you were going through on this song, I really related to that because I went through something similar. And just things of that nature, really just, like, people being able to really relate, like, and people just respecting what I do to where they're just like, you know, you don't do the same thing as everybody else that's trying to make this type of music. Like, you're really setting yourself apart. I just try to be myself. And it's really like the little moments in life that to where I might even be having a bad day myself, and somebody will send me a message, you know, like I had to go to the hospital recently, and I had let my fans know, like, because they know that I've had a history of like having to be in and out the hospital and stuff like that, and I was just like, you know, I just left out the hospital first time this year, but everything's good. Back to working on the album. And so a lot of my fans were like sitting there giving me well wishes, you know, just happy that I was healthy. And so stuff like that makes me really, really happy that like people I might not ever even meet care enough about me and what I got going on to let me know that they care about it. So stuff like that.
Was it hard to break into the arts industry? Because I know that there's a lot of, you know, young talent out there really wanting to break into it. Was it hard?
It is hard, but it's not at the same time. Like, it is if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing and you're driven and you know what you're trying to do with your career, then I wouldn't say it's super hard. The hardest part about it isn't going to be anything that comes from you. Like, it's more so about how people receive you. And then there's a lot of political aspects behind the music industry and stuff like that. So it's like, I know there's certain artists that won't work with me because because I had an issue with this person before. Stuff like that. It's like, it's a lot of like, oh, you can't be cool with this person and cool with me at the same time. It's a lot of stuff like that, which I avoid just by not really getting that close with that many people in the industry. It's kind of like trophic levels. Like, it's basically like, say you have like a lion and you try to move a tiger into the lion's environment. It's going to be upset because it's going to be like, this is my environment. Why are you here? You're trying to occupy the same niche as me. So it's kind of like that.
I would like to understand your journey with God. Like, how did you get to this place? And he talks to you, obviously, in a lot of ways. He inspires a lot of your music. But how did you believe in him in the first place? And you could, like, ponder on that for a bit if you wanted.
Oh, shoot. I ain't even got to think about it because it was like, I grew up in church. You know, I grew up. But it was like, when I was younger, I didn't really feel it. Like, I kind of just went with it because it was what I had to. And then I kind of went through this phase where I was just like, oh, no, there's no way God's real. Only science, blah, 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 blah. And then when I was 21, I had a lot of stuff going on. That was probably, like, the hardest times I ever went through. Like, I would do things to, like, numb how I was feeling at the time. And then one night, I had this experience while I had partaken in a certain substance, whatever that I will not name, but I had an out of body experience sort of thing, and I met the Lord, and it was like this wall of like all these different colors like that don't even exist, and he was just like, "You've been asking where I am. Here I am," and I was just like, "Oh, like I am." I was like, okay. And so like which he ended up proving himself to me that he was who he was, and I was just like, okay. And so like I got returned to my body, and then I don't know, after that day I was just like, I don't know much about, because at that time I was just like, I don't know about being Christian, but I know that there is something out there, and I just talked to him. Because I've struggled with, like, just self-worth in general a lot of my life. And I tried to kill myself, and I didn't die. Because I walked into the road, and I just stood there. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm tired of dealing with this life stuff. Like, it's over. Then I walked into the road, and the car was speeding at me, just, like, going super fast, and then I just stopped, and they were like, what are you doing? Just honking their horn, like, get out the road, dude. Like, why are you trying to kill yourself? And, like, I just, like, woke up, like, out of, like, whatever headspace I was in, and I was just like, what am I doing right now? And so I got out the road, and I went back home, and then I was just like, I really tried to do that to myself. And so I kind of had to process that for a while. Like, I really just tried to do that. And so, like, March comes around, my heart started acting up, I started waking up, not breathing, all sorts of stuff like that. So I was in the hospital for, like, a week and a half, and then I was, like, drugged up and stuff. So they were like, oh, you suicidal? I was like, yeah, I do want to die because this feels terrible. And so they put me in the psych ward for a little bit, a few days. I was just, like, you know, sitting there like, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to die or not, but if I do, I want to go to heaven when I'm, like, if I do die, I want to be up there. And so that's when I gave my, that's when I was just like, you know what? Jesus Christ did die for my sins, because if not, then I wouldn't even be here right now. And so once I got out of there, like, I don't know, I just felt transformed in a lot of ways, because I was just like, I just had a near-death experience twice in, like, a span of, like, 4 months. And then I'm in here in this crazy house where I don't even think I'm supposed to be at. And so once I got out of all that, I was just like, you know what, maybe God does have a purpose for me, because if not, then I would have died when I walked into the road. I would have died in the hospital. Like, there was all these different times where I could have easily went, and he didn't let that happen. So I was just like, I know there's more that he wants to do with me. I want to say it was like November 2021. Well, it was a song called Keep Faith, because that's really just how I was feeling. I was like, bro, I got to keep faith in something through this stuff. And so, like, as like time progressed on, I started like doing a gospel song here and there. And then, like, I kind of made a decision, like, I just need to make all my music like this, because it's just like, this feels the most genuine for me. And so once I started doing that, I started noticing changes. Like, my stuff would go up a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. And then the biggest bird hit and everything went up. And I was just like, okay, I've been trying to do this thing for this long. Didn't really get anywhere. And then once I started dedicating more and more aspects of my life to God, that's when everything started coming in, like success, all that sort of stuff. And I was just like, I wonder why that is. And I was just like, in my head, I was just like, maybe that was the intention the whole time. And so that just put a fire in me, like, God is real. And he showed me a lot that he's real. Even when I didn't know him, he still knew me. So it was just like, that whole aspect really just like showed me, like, if no one else on this earth cares, he cares. If no one else is sitting there showing support, he'll show support. So it was like, that was really like what fired me up to really just be like, you know what, this is where I need to be at.
You had to give some advice to like young people. You already gave like hints everywhere, you know, young people maybe like in their teens right now trying to figure out life, and they're like worried about what girls or like money or trying to break into an industry. What advice literally would you give them?
For the young ones out there, I'd say a few things. I'd say believe in yourself for sure. Don't let people discourage you for sure, because a lot of people will see someone's potential, and instead of supporting them, they don't want them to pass them. And so they'll be like, oh, you can't do this, knowing that they full and well can do that. And so, and just be patient with everything. Okay, I don't have it yet, but I will. It's more so just like definitives, like, I will have this thing. I will have this thing. And I'd say just pray on it, because it's like there's power in prayer. Like, and I see that more and more. Like, do things because they're the right thing to do, not because, you know, you're going to get this from it or you're going to get this from it. Just do things because they're the right thing. No matter what, money will never make you happy if you're not already happy before you have it. Recently, like, my sister needed $5. I gave her 10. Next couple days, I end up finding $70. Like, so it's just stuff like that to where it's like, I know, so God was sitting there looking like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna say he doesn't have it when he does and lie? Or is he gonna give it to her knowing that she's trying to accomplish something herself? And so it's just like, really just like, be concerned about yourself and your well-being, all that, but don't be afraid to be selfless. Definitely know what you want early, and like try to figure out like where you want to be and like what you want your life to look like, but don't stress about it. You know, enjoy every day, because it's just like, you never know. Like, we never know which day is our last day, and so it's just like, there's only one being that knows that. So it's just like, live life to the fullest in every extent. I'm not gonna say go out and do whatever you want, you know what I mean, but, you know, try to live, you know, try to enjoy life, but not for what the world wants you to enjoy for. Make sure that it means something to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was so good, so inspirational. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This is a very inspirational man. And please check out his TikTok, right?
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Everything is SAINTMERCATØR 2002. So it's like Saint and then Mercator in 2002. It's all one word though. But yeah, and make sure you support her too, because I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit and everything. It was cool.